Hey, good morning, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to another time here. Welcome to another time at the book club. Thanks for coming. Welcome on Instagram Live. Great to be back here. With a book club. We get to do this on Sundays, and thanks for coming along. I'm gonna bring up my slide, but before I do that, just to a reminder, the book we're looking at is The Good Life by Robert Waldinger and Marc Schulz, right? There's a book that was released in January of this year. And it's just a compilation of the study on the results thereof of human development, human adult development that's been carried out by the Harvard School. It's 84 plus years of study. So going over different generations, including people like John F. Kennedy, that have been studied over the 84 plus years and saying what makes for a good life, what makes for a happy life, what makes for a healthy life, So as we read it, we're trying to see what they learned from the study and seeing how we can apply that in our own life so that our own life can be better. We can live truly a good life. Not just that we're living life, not just that we're having the length of life, but we're also having the width thereof. We're getting the fullness of life. We're having life indeed in abundance. Like the Holy Book would say, that we might have life and have life more abundantly, not in miserly portion, but life that we enjoy having, the life that we feel fulfilled having, life that is memorable, a life that is rewarding, life that is fulfilling, life that is life indeed, not a living dead. So that's what we're hoping to get out of this, the book and the study time together, So we've been reading the book. We finished chapter 2 last week, and today we're going to go on here to chapter 3 today. That's what we're doing today. We're probably going to do 3 to 4 segments in chapter 3 to finish it. So today we're going to take the first part of that. The first part of chapter 3 is what we're going to read today. And the title of chapter 3 is relationship on the winding road of life, relationship in our adult life, relationship as we grow and develop, So don't let me take away the thunder from the session itself. Let me hold back. I'm going to bring up my slide. I will take it in little portions. On Instagram Live, obviously you can't see my slide, but you can see it. You'll be able to see it on Facebook and you'll be able to see it on YouTube. All righty. So it's a study continuing the book. Again, it's a book written by two people, Robert Waldinger and Marc Schulz, right? And they lead the Harvard School of Adult Development. And so title again for this chapter is Relationships on the Winding Road of Life. So this is our first read into it. We'll probably have 2 or 3 more reads to finish the chapter. And pretty much, the chapter starts with this quote: "Our destiny is frequently met in the very paths we take to avoid it." Right? Some of us try to avoid what we think or suppose is our destiny. And I can tell you that from my own life experience, at some points in time, while I was younger, I used to tell my mom, that I'm going to be a preacher, I'm going to be a teacher, all of that. I'm going to preach all of that, but as I grew up, it was not necessarily the path I wanted to go as I struggled through developmental growth years, when I did not know myself, I wasn't necessarily fascinated or drawn to being a pastor, because I felt it was going to be limiting in some sense, So last one, that was probably one of the things I tried to keep away from. Yeah, I remember going for youth service, and the first place I was alone in one big house, colonial house, and it was like this might be the place where I will get called into full-time ministry. And not as if I was scared into full-time ministry, but I was struggling with a lot of things in the mental realm. I was struggling with a lot of things from a maturity standpoint, and I didn't want to get locked up into something that is not for me per se, that I didn't fully understand, and but all of that also coming into a place of relationship. And I put in so much energy trying to make a relationship work that didn't work. I kind of took away from all of that, the truth that which, the Holy Book also adduced to, the Holy Book would say that if you protect your life, if you want to keep your life, you will lose it. But if you give your life, then you will get it. And what I learned from that has stayed with me is the fact that which we cannot let go, we cannot have, but if something is truly yours and you let it go, then it will come back. If it comes back to you, then it is yours, right? Life is not about being overly protective about something we think we must have or something we think we must not have. When we're walking such anxiety, then we're not in a place of rest. We're not in a place of equilibrium. And most often than not, the thing we're trying to protect will lose, and that's what I see as I look at this quote by Jean de Fontaine. He says, our destiny is frequently met in the very path we take to avoid it. It's kind of a reverse of a truth I shared, but the reverse is also true, and I love that. That reminds me of another quote by Maya Angelou. So it's called the principle of reverse. Every truth also works in the reverse. It's also true in the reverse. But here, when we run away from something, it's most often than not something that we ought to be a part of. When we're overly protective about something, it's probably most often than not are things that we cannot have, So where we need to be, it's come to a place of rest, where we understand and trust the universe, where we understand and trust the setting of God, that everything will come to a place of equilibrium. Right? We don't get things by being anxious. We get things by, doing our own part. Everything is set into motion in life. All life is looking for is that we do our own part in that big mix of things, do our own part, and as we do our own part, every other thing falls into place, right? So again, that quote again says our destiny is frequently missed. No, like I say, this is a reverse. Our destiny is frequently met in the very path we take to avoid it, right? And beginning to break that down, if you avoid something on purpose and try to take a different option, what you try to avoid will encounter you on the path and you anyway would have to confront it, right? That's one of the breaking down to it, and it is the fact that whatever you run away from, life is not about running away from things. That's probably another principle I've learned and I live my life by. Life is not about running away from life. A winning life, a succeeding life, and overcoming life. It's about running to, not running away from. Just give me 1 second here. I think I need to just check something on my on the Facebook platform of this, just to be sure that we're projecting correctly. But life is not about what we will run away from. It's about what we run to. Right? When we run away, then we are in the losing part of life. Right? When we run to, then we're in control. When we run from, we're typically doing that by reason of fear. When we run to, we're doing that typically by faith, right? Life is about knowing what to run to. And as we run to, our keeps us away from the things we need to keep away from, right? So anyway, the whole balance of it at the end of the day is that we'll live life by faith, not by fear, right? We live by life by knowing the things we should aggregate towards, and then work and plan our life to aggregate towards it, right? And that's important, right? At the end of the day, it's doing things that would help us rather than doing things that would not help us and drive us away, from the path of life, right? So the other breaking down to this says we either make wise choices for our highest good, or the divine will make it for us, right? So that's another part where we say life, is always seeking equilibrium, right? If you don't make your choices to move towards the goals that you have set, your dream, your target in life, somehow life has a way of finding its own equilibrium, right? God is going to probably drive you towards it. And that's when we have issues where we have life happening to people. Most often than not, when life happens to you, it's because there's something in your life that you're not doing. There's something in your life that's out of balance, right? Life happening to you is typically to call your life to a place of equilibrium, to a place of order, right? It's a calling to something you're probably taking for granted, you're being complacent about, and life, happening typically kind of wakes you up back to life, and we can avoid a whole lot of those things, or the effect on our lives if we do the things we're supposed to do, if we do our own part in life, right? If we do our own part in life, and we are two words, we're intentional and we're proactive. We're intentional and we're proactive. So when God says that we should have dominion, right? One of those ways we have dominion is by being intentional about life. You cannot have dominion if you're not intentional about life, right? If you're going to have dominion and reign in life, then you have to be intentional about life. You have to be proactive. You have to take the first step towards what you want to do, right? Only when you do those two things, then will life support you. Then will the word support you. Then will the universe support you. Then will God support you. Otherwise, life will work against you, right? In a sense, calling you to order, right? So still further breaking that down, right? It says blaming our past for not taking action to change our destiny for good is taken from a weak man's playbook, So losers will always look for something to blame. They'll look for whether it's the government, it's the country they were born, their tribe, their gender. Nothing is to blame for your life. Only you are to blame. We all are responsible for our lives, right? Nothing else but ourselves. It's not the card that life has dealt to us in life that's important. It's what we do with the card that life has dealt to us that's important, right? Life happens to everybody, right? Life happens to everybody, not just you. Nobody's after you. Nobody has your name cooked somewhere. When life happens to you, just know that it's a normal thing for life to happen. And it doesn't just happen to you, it happens to everybody else, right? And it's not about life happening, it's about what you do with the life that happens to you. That's what differentiates people out, right? No one is born to win or born to lose. Everybody takes life, and what they get is what they do with the life they've been given. Yes, we have all been given different cards in life, right? Yes, we might all not start from the same point, but everything has been given because God, the creator, trusts that we can do something good with what we have been given. There's a faith in us, there's a belief in us, and it's up to us to live up to that faith, to that belief, because we can, right? And we will not be the first and will not be the last. We have a host of witnesses around us, right? Who have gone before us, who have had worse situations than we had, and they have made something good out of it, right? So your past is not your destiny, right? Your past is not the end of your life, right? You can change your future at any moment. irrespective of where you have come from to where you are. You can change your present and your future. It's all about what you do with what you have, not what you don't have. What you do with what you have, not what you don't have. For as long as you're wishing and you're not respecting or valuing the seed in your hand, your life will not get better. At every point in time, you have something in your hand, which is a seed for your greatness. What you do with it is what is going to make a difference in your life, whether your life will be better or not, right? It's the decisions we make, not the conditions of our life, that determine our destiny, right? Every point in time, it's your decision that determines your destiny. There's nothing like fate, don't be deceived by, I see a lot of these scam, you are firstborn, you are lastborn, and all of those stupid things, right? Jack Ma didn't do any of those stupid things, come around, and he's a rich man, right? You don't need all of that, right? But you need to make the right decision at every point in time. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how life has treated you up to this point. It's the decision you make today that will make a difference in your life, that will make a difference in your today and your tomorrow. It's up to you to decide to do the right things. Decide to do the right things. Decide to find the right information and walk by them. Scripture will say, wisdom is the principal thing. In all you're getting, get sense, get understanding, get sense. If you get sense, your life will be different. The reason why people are poor and they're depressed and they don't see forward is because they lack common sense. They lack sense. The scripture says, get sense. If you get sense, your life will be better, right? And it's all within our reach, is within our grasp. We can lay hold of it and do something about it, right? So there are times when circumstances are out of control, no doubt about that. Life happens to us all. People die, accidents happen, that we don't have control over, right? I'll just share with my secondary school alma mater earlier on this morning, and we're just talking about investment. And I was just trying to say that the secret, you're going to prosper to the extent to which you can handle uncertainty. Uncertainty will always be a given in our lives. You will not have a certainty about everything in your life. Your ability to find a place of comfort, a place of rest, a place of being able to use or prosper in the midst of uncertainty will determine the degree and extent to which you can succeed in life, right? I'm not talking about being stupid. I'm talking about coming to a place of comfort by being able to take control of the things you can control. There are always going to be things you can't control, but to what extent are you handling the things you can control? To that extent, will you be able to handle the things you cannot control? To that extent, will you be comfortable and at rest in the midst of uncertainties? Whether it be uncertainties today or uncertainties tomorrow? The way we guide ourselves against uncertainty is by making the best use of the things we are certain of and we have control over, right? So there will always be things you cannot control, that the way we respond will determine the road we will take and the attitude we will have along the way, right? That's going to determine the way we respond, and the way we respond will determine what we get out of every situation of life, right? So, still along that third part, it says, until, I love this quote by Carl Gustav Jung, one of my foremost psychoanalysts, and out there at the very top in the world of psychoanalysis, Jung and Freud, Sigmund, pretty much your top two. Every other person comes after them, and this is Jung. I love this quote by Jung. He says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Until you take captive the unconscious things in your life, You know, you will see things happening and you think, oh, it's the hand of God. It's the hand of God. You know, and that's what happened in the dark ages, right? Everything they said was the hand of God. That's why we came to call natural disasters. We call them all they call us was it said that the hearts of God or something like that. They're not the hearts of God. or we'll call them the hearts of nature. But God's intent is not to destroy. Things happen, right? And but they're not necessarily because God ordained them necessarily to happen that way, right? There's more to it, right? Thank God we have more light today, and we're not just giving to those excuses, right? We know whether it's a pressure formation, it's a wind speed. We know some of them that we have created ourselves. We know some of them that are just natural, and all we need to do is stay away from them, right? You know, so there are a lot of unconscious things, but there's nothing without a reason at the end of the day. And it's not as much as knowing the reason, but understanding the ones you know and giving heed to the ones you don't know. You know, be conscious of the way the ones you don't know walk, right? For instance, right, we do have the unconscious part of us just as much as we have the conscious part of us. The unconscious part of us, you know, is a part that even though it's unconscious, we can control. It's called the subconscious mind, right? Inside there is stored my habits. Inside there is stored my belief system. Inside there is stored the stories, my history, my stories, right? Now, the way it works or does not work is the habits I have created, which I can change. It has a belief, my philosophy, but my philosophy I can change. It's a matter of replacing what does not work with what works. So the Holy Book would say that we should be transformed by the renewing of our mind. How do we do that? Get new information to replace old information, right? If you get new information, the right information to replace the old information, then you are taking control, you are taking captive your unconscious. Then you can determine your destiny, you can determine your fate. You can determine what takes place in your life when you're not conscious about it. But you got to do something about it. It's the programming of your being, the programming of your mind. And you work on that by what you read, what you expose yourself to, right? So you can control it. You can control it. If you choose not to, then whatsoever has been stored, both consciously and unconsciously, will control your life. It's not fate. It's just because you did not do your part, right? But you can determine your future. You can determine the path your life is going towards, right? All you have to do is set your sail against the wind of life, and it will take you to the shore that you want to get to, right? So Carl says that until you make the unconscious conscious, the things that are directing your life, until you make them conscious and you then determine how they do or not direct your life, right? You just think everything is happening because they have to happen. They don't have to happen. A whole lot of things don't have to happen. You don't have to be broke. You don't have to be sad. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to be depressed. You can live a better life. All you need to do is take charge of the things that result in that, and not just leave it to chance. Don't leave your life to chance. You can do a better job of it, right? I love the way Napoleon Hill has on to said that, and Napoleon Hill says, you are the master of your destiny. You are the master of your destiny. God has set things in place, but whether you get there or not is up to you. You know, Bible saying that the path of the righteous is like the morning star. It gets brighter and brighter until the perfect day. Even though that's the ordination of God, it doesn't happen to everybody that way. There's a place for you, a path for you. That is God's thoughts. That's God's desire. But whether it will happen in your life or not is a function of whether you do your own part or not. In Jeremiah, God says, my thoughts towards you are those of good. Of those of good, to give you a hand, and a future, a hope. But it doesn't happen for everybody. You have to agree with God. You have to do your own part. God has set it to place for you to succeed. Whether you succeed or not is up to you. You are the master of your destiny. To the extent to which you do your part is to determine whether you succeed or not. So now Peter Name puts it out where you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, my eyes be blurred. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be by doing the right things. By first of all, knowing those right things, knowing those principles, knowing those laws, and beginning to walk on them, walk with them, put them into place in your life. I was quoting this morning talking about, I put something out there that said that what you give guarantees your future, and one of my dear friends was asking me, what does that mean? Or where do you give to? And I went further. The Holy Book says, give and it shall be given. It's a general, all-embracing word. It's not saying give to your church. It's saying give. And everything comes in the realm of giving. Simply in this particular talk, it's giving to your life. Everything you do or not do is a seed. And there will be a harvest. God says, I am not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that will he reap. If you sow to your flesh, you will reap corruption. If you sow to the right principles of life, you will reap life. You will reap success. You will reap victory. You will reap an abundant life and a rich life, a rewarding life. It's all a function of what you sow. You are the master of your harvest. You are the master of your future. You're the master of your destiny because you are in control of the seed, right? And just to wrap that up, the poem by William Hensley, he says that I am the master of my fate. Same thing as what we just read from Napoleon Hill. But he has the second part. I am the captain of my soul. I can direct my life. I can direct my life. I'm in charge of the sail of my boat. I'm in charge of the ship, which is my life. I direct the sail. I direct the sail to use the wind of life to take me to where I want to go. Not just where the wind wants to take me. I set the sail to the direction that I want to go. In doing that, I must know where I want to go. Then when I know where I want to go, then I set my sail to use the wind of life to take me to where I want to go. I am the captain of my soul. I am the captain of my life. I am the captain of my ship. No other person, not my pastor, not any other person. I make the final decision for this life. I don't care who you are. You're a prophet, evangelist. You just come down from heaven. The only person God is going to hold responsible for this life is me. So I make the final decision by not any other person because I am the one responsible. I'm the one that's been given this life. Right? And that's the same thing for you. You can't blame any other person for your life. You need to take responsibility for your life. Right? So, and all of this was just introduction into chapter 3, right? Chapter 3's main focus was a questionnaire that was sent out in 1975, right? And they were trying to check with people, they said, like, can you tell the life issues that have faced your life after you were 50 years old? They were asking, what are the life issues they face after 50 years old? And how did those same issues look important to them when they were younger, say when they were 20 years old or all of that, and this questionnaire was pretty much trying to find out from people, how have you tried to master these issues? How have you tried to master these issues? That's what they were asking. And as I was just sharing here, talking about being the master of your destiny, the captain of your soul, in the last 1-2 weeks, I've had some ha-ha moments in my life, especially where I have to be financially at this morning time. I'm paying huge fees, and in dollars, right? And I am in naira, I'm having to pay some fees in dollars, and exchange rate has gone haywire, and it's 1,000 naira to a dollar, and that's gone haywire like ×2 what it used to be, and I still have to pay bills, so it's been a time of being encouraging myself in the Lord, or encouraging myself in the Lord, encouraging myself in life itself, because it could be discouraging, and I'm asking myself, will I be able to sustain it? So it's been a time to seemingly that trying to drag me into depression, and I'm pulling myself back. It's more like I've gone through nights when I've been in and out of depression. Oh, will I sustain it? Oh yeah. I put myself back and encourage myself, but what's happened in all of that for me is it's been a time to sit back and look at my life. It's a time to look at how I've made it so far, look at the cyclic period of my life, and look at the things that have worked, look at the things that have not worked, and pick some lessons from it, and as I read through this book in chapter 3, it's about the same thing, that's been discussed, how to harness the lessons of life, and one of the things they began to talk about in the book, and thanks, my beautiful sister is here. Thanks. So, one of the things I looked at, it was, talking about looking at your life when you're probably much younger, maybe half the year you are right now, if possible, get a picture, and envisage all the thoughts that were going through your mind at that age, and how those compare to where you are today. The way you talked about life, your beliefs, your dreams, and if you were to talk to yourself at that point in time, for instance, I'm 56, right? So I'm going to be talking to my 28-year-old person, and what will I be telling myself? Do I still believe the things I believed at that point in time? What have I learned? What has life done to me that if I were to go back to when I was 28 years old, will I do life better than I've done so far? A whole lot. I will. I've learned a lot. Even in these last 2 weeks, I learned a lot just looking back into life. Things I believed that were not true, things that held me bound, that I thought were the most important things in life, but I was either to found that they were not, and that's part of the beauty of reading through the book, doing the study, is it's not to waste the journey of life that we have come, right? Whatever age you're in, you have learned a lot through your pilgrimage. Let those lessons not be in vain in your life. It's how to make your life better. A Yoruba proverb would say that a young person cannot have as many clothes as they would have rags more than an elderly person. Let the rags of your life speak for you, right? You cannot be doing the same old thing, at this age that you were chasing at a younger age. Life is giving you the benefit of wisdom. Use it. But don't let me steal the thunder of the slides that are yet to come. Let me just hold back and just take it beat by beat. So we still have a few slides to go, and this is really the beginning of the chapter. Every other thing I'd said so far, like introduction to the main talk. The main talk is how we mastering the issues of life. How are you mastering the issues of your life? Right? How are you becoming a master at the issues of your life? How are you using the years you've had to work for you, to make you better? Are you responding to life better than you did respond to life 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Is your journey doing you any good? Right? So, and one of the things I looked at is that, we have a shared humanity, and there are things that bind us together. I'm just thinking about this discussion the last 2 weeks also. The different areas of our life. First of all, one of the things that binds all of us together is sheer humanity. And when it comes to humanity, it doesn't matter what religion you belong to. We're all humans. When it comes to humanity, it's a common ground for every one of us. We're all human. We feel the same pain. We take away all of those struggle about whether women should submit or men should love. We're all human. We're all supposed to submit. We're all supposed to love. People struggle with that. Oh, the woman must submit. But they don't read a few verses before. It says, submit to one another. Men submit, women submit. Oh, men should love. He doesn't love me. We're supposed to love one another. Love is not for men only. It's for we are all supposed to love. When it comes to humanity, there's no gender. It's not man or woman. We're all human. And that cuts across us, meaning that we face the same thing. At the end of it all, we all have a red blood flowing through us. We all have a spirit. We all have a soul. Yes, our physical body might look different, but we're going to drop this here. The real thing is our spirit and our soul. We feel the same way. We have the same troubles. We have the same confusions. And so we can learn from one another. We can learn from other people's example. That's why Isaac Newton would say that I've gone further because of the shoulder of the giants that have gone before me that I sat on, because we're all human. I can learn from what they learned from. Right? And you see that we have a shared humanity, therefore we can learn from others. We can learn from others. We can learn from others' downfall. We can learn from others' breakthrough, how they overcame. There's something we can learn. And that's the benefit of reading books also, right? Because then you read about, and I just finished reading Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, right? David Goggins. I just finished reading this book. And, the last chapter there, it says, what if? And we're talking about a time when he was going through a physical challenge, after doing all his bragado, all of that, his body began to break down, right? And he talked about how he came back on. At that point in time, I was going through a time in my life, my body was also kind of challenging me. I was going through some health challenge, But as I read David Goggins' story and how he came back to life, that gave me a new breath of life. It gave me courage. It gave me courage. It gave me something I could stand on, hold onto. And I began also to get my own way back. If David could do it, I can do it also. Right? That's the beauty of reading other people's story, because at the end of the day, we all share common humanity. Right? If you can do it, I can do it. We can learn and grow, from other people's example. We're all going to have our own experience of life, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can do better because someone else went through what I'm about to go through, right? So there are others who have gone through similar things in the past, and others going through them at the very moment. And we can learn from that and become better. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to make the mistake other people have made. We can start from where they stop, and then we can then make our mistake and get better by doing it. So we're not alone. No matter what you're going through in life, you are not alone. There's no reason for you to commit suicide. You are not alone. It doesn't matter what you're going through, right? You're not the worst person. You're not going through the worst thing that no other person has gone through. Whatever it is that you're going through, someone else has gone through it before you, and they succeeded. They overcame. They did not kill themselves. They overcame. Because they overcame, you too can overcome. You too can overcome. They are no better than you. We're all human, right? If they could make it, you can make it. If I can make it, you can make it. If I can do what I'm doing right now, you can do it. If it's somebody in your part, you can do it. I can teach you how I have done it, and you can do it also, right? Because I'm nothing special. I'm not superhuman. I'm just human. I'm just human. And we all share that. There's no superhuman. We're all human. Whatever we do or cannot do is a result of what we have learned. It's a skill, what we have learned, what we have exercised ourselves in doing. I'm here talking to you as if I was born this way. I wasn't born this way. I learned how to do it. I grew up as a shy person, right? Typically, I wouldn't be able to do this, standing in front of the camera and talking like this. I wasn't born this way. Anyone that knows me knows I wasn't born this way. But today I can do it because I have developed mastery by doing. I've developed mastery by doing. I have developed mastery by doing. I've exercised myself in it. I am exercising myself in it. So I'm getting better at doing it. You too can exercise yourself in it and get better at doing it. No matter where you are right now, you can get better. It's not the end of your story. You can get better, right? So then it's so no trial. I love that. And this is looking from the Holy Book, right? For those of you who know the Holy Book, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. I love the first part of it. And I took it from one of the translation mouths. It says, no trial has overtaken you that is not distinctively human. There's no struggle you are going through that is not distinctively human. Life is not expecting you to be superhuman. Just be human, right? No, there's no trial. There's no challenge of life that has overtaken you or is overtaking you or that will overtake you. That is not distinctively human. You are going through a human experience. You know, that's what the Sheldon would say. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience, right? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here to have a human experience. And in our humanity, we're all the same. In our humanity, we're all the same. We're spiritual beings here to have a human experience. And in that human experience, we are all common. We're all one. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your tribe. In humanity, we're all the same. Therefore, we can encourage one another. We can influence one another. We can help one another. We can uplift one another. We can encourage one another. Right? So we are forever changing from what we are into what we'll be. Right? You know, that's Heraclitus. It says that, you know, says there's no other thing constant in life but change. Change is a constant in life, right? So we're forever changing, you know. So I would say that success is not sacrosanct, right? You know, if you don't protect your success, you'll get failure, right? But life is forever changing, you know, and the way to stay ahead of life is to keep changing. Use the change, right? Rather allow the change to use you, right? There's no. And I was just part of my 2 weeks experience also is that place that there are some things that work for you that if you don't, you have to continually stay on top of them. Otherwise, then they begin to work against you. What worked for you yesterday can work against you today. You know, if you just take it for granted, right? If you're consistent about a thing and you're not staying above that consistency, to use that consistency, you know, and you get to a place where you become enslaved by your consistency, that will work against you, right? So life is just that place. You know, life is a game. Life is war, you know, where you're continuously getting the balance of things, right? You're continuously needing to be using things rather than allowing things to use you, right? So what worked for me yesterday can work against me if I become complacent about it, right? So it's a changing game. And it's up to us to ensure that we stay ahead of the change of life. so that the change of life does not then use us, and then defeat us, right? If you want to win, you have to stay ahead of a changing game of life, such that you can use the change of life to your advantage. So life looks different at different age. Life looks different at age 20, age 50, age 80. I have 3 young adults, all above the age of 20. So just think about who I was when I was 20. I was in the university and I was chasing after a relationship, which I was a prisoner of the relationship, and I thought I was serving God by that, but it was a limit of my knowledge. Right? If I knew better, I would have done better, but what protected me was that I feared God. In my stupidity, I feared and loved God, and that protected me from being overly stupid. I was stupid, in my ignorance, but life looks different at different age. Today, I'm 56 this year, right? Doesn't mean I know it all, right? My father, I have a father, I have a mother. They know much more than I do. And there's a whole lot I'm going to learn tomorrow that I don't know today. But life is changing, and it's up to me to never get complacent, think I know, I've been a pastor, all of that. And all of those can work against me if I don't stay ahead of them, if I don't stay in the flow, the stream of life, the stream of knowledge, the stream of wisdom, the stream of understanding. All my pastoral past can work against me. I have my beautiful sister here joining me on Instagram Live, and she knows me from way back, right? But all of that is useless if I'm not useful today, if I'm not staying in the stream of knowledge, if I'm not staying in the stream of anointing, if I'm not staying in a stream of being a blessing, right? Then it'll be like, wow, I've become a relic. Life is changing, and for me to get the best of it, I must be ahead of it. I must use the change, not allow the change to use me, right? So so at each point in time is where we stand. Where we stand at each point in time depends where we sit. It's an older aphorism. It says where you stand depends on where you sit, right? The privilege of your sitting determines who you are, determines how people see you, determine whether you're a blessing or not, whether you are extraordinary or not. Even though we're all human, but by virtue of where you sit, by virtue of your experience of life, you can differentiate yourself, right? Even though we're all human, we also come in different hierarchy and standing per se, in the place of which we can influence and bless one another, right? There has to be a price. Where you sit is a function of the price you have paid, right? And the giants you can plug into by reason of the price that you've paid. Remember, we talked about sowing seed, right? The harvest is a function of the seed you have sown, right? How much you have invested, for the knowledge that you have, how much you have invested, for the courage that you have, right? Because people are gonna follow you or come to you if you can feed something in them. You have to have the right thing to feed something in them. You can only bless people to the extent that you can feed the hunger that is in them. And there's different hunger in people, right? So they would have an affinity towards you or not if there is something in you that is feeding something in them, right? So, and also how we see the world, depends on also our vantage point, right? It depends on our philosophy, right? It depends on what we know. It depends on what our exposure, So all of that affects us, as we go through life. We're talking about how, again, to let me see what let me quote it rightly. We started here, we're talking about how to master the issues of life, right? So all of that goes towards mastering the issues of life, and I see I've almost gone about 1 hour. I typically do this 30 minutes, but it seems like I had so much to share today. I'm going to be done here hopefully before the top of the hour. So the fourth, so all of this we're talking about, and I said what happened to me the last 2 weeks as I went in a time of thinking backwards, and what ties to that is our favorite quote by Socrates, which says that an unexamined life is not worth living. Because when we examine our life, when I look back to when I was 20, I look back to when I was 30, I look back to when I was 40, I look back to when I was 50, and I look at how I felt, how I feel, what my life was and what my life is, helps me to appreciate what I already have, right? And to see what I want. I had a good time at my exercise this morning. We had a short time talking to my dear sister Osa, and we're just talking about life, we're talking about privilege we had to be alive. We had a burial, I believe it was last week, for one of our directors, and just talking about the privilege of being alive. She was talking about how she struggled out of bed this morning. Yet there are people that don't wake up from bed. There are people that are incapacitated. There are people that cannot do the things that we can do today, right? So when we look back at life, we're able to be grateful, right? It's not about what I don't have. It's about everything that I already have, right? And when I'm grateful for what I have, I can have more. If all I'm thinking about is the things that I don't have, I will have less because I will lose what I already have. But when I'm grateful for what I have, I'm able to be inspired, to have more, because then I understand how I got here, and that helps me to get to where I need to get to. I love a dear sister of mine posted some pictures on Facebook today, and I was saying, he said, it's grace that has carried her. It's grace that has carried her. It's grace that has carried her, And when you look back, then you're able to appreciate that. You're able to say, I didn't get here by my own strength. I was helped. I was helped. When I appreciate the hand that helped me this far, then I'm able to use that same hand, allow that same hand to take me further. But it comes when I'm able to look back and take stock. How did I get here? How did I win the many battles? How did I win over those sleepless nights? How did I win over the anxiety, the troubling heart, the days when it looked like today would never come? But I'm here today. I got here somehow. The same way I got here, I can get to wherever I need to get to in the future. The same hand that brought me this far will take me further, right? But I'm also able to pick some nuggets from my life. I'm able to understand that. I'm able to understand that in one day I felt poor, and in the same day I felt rich. And it wasn't as if there was any change in my bank account, but it was just the way I saw things. My perception made the difference, right? In one day I was depressed. In another day, that same day, not another day, I came out of depression. And it wasn't as if I got any extra money or anything extra. It was just my perception that changed. If that can happen, if that had happened yesterday, I can use the same one today to have the right perception to face the issues of my life, to face my today, to face this week, to face the month, to face the year, and be an overcomer. I can begin to work on my mind to have the victory therein, so that then when I can have the victory in my mind, then me and my mind can attract every other thing that I need to complete my life, right? And it comes from an examination. It comes from an examination, right? How did I, by just one thought, fall into depression? How did I just by one thought come out of depression? How can I gain mastery over my thought, right? So an unexamined human life is deprived of meaning and purpose of existence. When you don't examine your life, then you lose meaning. You lose purpose to your existence. So as the psalmist would say, teach us a number of days that we might apply our hearts unto wisdom. Teach us to look at our days that we can glean the lessons. We can glean the grace. We can be grateful. We can be thankful. We can know that it wasn't by our strength, but we were helped, and allow that same help to carry us further, right? So the most, and all of this is, and all of this is supported by science, right? It's our lives can get better. Changes taking place, but that's all the change that takes place does not have to be negative. We can make them positives. We can influence our life for the better, right? We are not yet home yet. We will not be home until we die. And for the time that we have here, it can be a rewarding life. It doesn't have to be a depressing life. It doesn't have to be a low life. We can live the high life till the day we leave the scene here. And it's all about what we do about it. It's not going to happen by chance. It's going to happen by what we do. It's going to happen by the decisions we'll make. We are the difference maker. We can do something about our life and make it better. So we'll continue next week. That's all I got for this week. Thanks for coming along with me. Thanks, my dear sister. I appreciate you. I love you. I'll send you a note afterwards. Thanks every other person I can see. Facebook. Oh, I saw my dear sister Happiness also on Facebook. Thanks, Happiness. I appreciate you. All right. Love you. For all of you that will get to see this later on, maybe not live on YouTube and every other place we get to post this. Thank you. God bless you. Have a prosperous week ahead. Till next Sunday. God bless you. Bye-bye.